Welcome back, guys, to the MVM Show, part 2. Not really. I actually forgot to hit record on the last 3 minutes of our prior one so we're starting fresh. I got Tony Quinteros on the phone with me from Refuge Runners. Great guy, local around here, and I'm excited to have you on the show today, Tony, for round 2. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I apologize about that. So what we were doing is just getting into, we've been trying to do this for about 3 weeks, and both our schedules are pretty busy between work and your school and golf and everything else you got going. So we're going to keep it pretty open today and talk about different things, but let's start off just how you got into duck hunting, but then also kind of from childhood up and how everything's going to this point.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Houston, which is just outside of Turlock, like a small little farm town. And I came here about 6th grade, and I met some of my best friends, Jacob and Matt, and we all just kind of became really good friends. And then I was just hanging out at Jacob's one day, and they were like, "Hey, you want to go dove hunting?" And I was like, I never really knew anything about hunting. No one in my family hunts. We pretty much just fish just for bass, like little farm ponds, whatever, but nothing too serious. And so we ended up going dove hunting to some field out here. And I didn't have no license. I didn't have nothing. He gave me like a camo shirt. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And we ended up going out there, and I was just pretty much watching the whole time because I didn't have my license or none of that. But it was like the coolest thing ever. I just remember just right there, just being pretty much hooked right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up doing that, and that was just before COVID. And then COVID ended up happening, and or I want to say maybe it was after COVID or like right in the middle of COVID. I don't exactly remember, but it was sometime around COVID. And then I ended up getting my license, my hunting license, because it was so easy to get online.
Yep.
Because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my buddy Matt ended up doing that. And then we went hunting that same season as dove season. He took me duck hunting, and we just went out to one of the refuges in the grasslands, and we got a good draw and went in and we got to hunt a pit blind for my first ever duck hunt, which was just awesome. And Jacob and his dad had been hunting for a while, so it was really good to have like a real super good mentor to kind of teach me the ropes and stuff and like what not to do, what to do. And they did everything. They still do everything the right way and not like cut corners like a lot of guys like to do, if you know what I mean, like out there.
Yeah.
And they're all about, like no sky busting, all just everything that a kid who'd never hunted would need to know. And so, yeah, we went out there, shot our limit. I think we shot some teal and divers. And it was just like a blast, like putting the face paint on. I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And so pretty much from there on, I went home, went on Amazon and bought all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I spent all my money on waders, whatever, anything I thought was going to benefit me. Yeah. And I ended up watching YouTube, like just when I do something, I don't usually just mess around with it. I go full go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like that with waterfowl. I just got like fully addicted from the first day. And so, yeah, went on YouTube and just started watching videos, stumbled upon one of your videos. It was like what you need when you first start out waterfowl hunting or whatever. It was something like that. And you were talking about the double nasty call and stuff like that. I ended up buying one of those and kind of learning how to call on that. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got started.
Awesome. That first hunt that you went on, I mean, that was probably the end of it, huh? Like you knew right then and there.
Dude, I shot like one spoonie, but it was the coolest. I thought it was awesome. Yeah. It was just so sweet.
What do you think it is that got you? Because, it's been so long since I could kind of remember bits and pieces of my first duck hunt, but like, what do you think it is that really like, what was it about it that just locked you in? I don't want to put words in your mouth because I could think of all these different things, right? But like for you, what was it?
I think that it was like so rewarding
Mm.
because we had to walk all our stuff out there, and we were hunting a pit, so it wasn't like you're not doing nothing hard. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we like walking the stuff out there, putting out decoys. It was like the whole process of it. And then actually seeing the ducks was just even cooler because I'd never held a dead animal or anything.
Yeah.
So that was just like awesome to me. And then we went home and cooked them up and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
So just the whole
so your
process.
dad hadn't done that, hunted nothing either.
Oh, my dad's from Guatemala, so
Mm-hmm.
my mom met him over there when they were like 23 or something, and
Mm-hmm.
then they got married and came back over here. So he'd shot birds with a pellet gun probably
Oh yeah,
when
yeah, right.
he was a kid over there, but zero hunting, no experience. My mom zero hunting,
Mm-hmm.
so
And so all your dad's family is over in Guatemala, basically. So it's not
yeah,
like you
his
had the
entire
older
family.
grandparents on your dad's side to even be here. So how'd you guys prepare that first duck? Was your dad kind of excited about that, or I mean, like,
Yeah, well, actually, so I'm not sure if you like misheard me or something, but I went with Jacob and his dad.
okay, yeah, right,
And
right,
so, yeah, but you're just talking about when I brought it
yeah. When you
home.
brought it home and it was like time to
Yeah.
prepare it or whatever.
Well, mostly what we do with all our ducks is we just cut them all up at Jacob's house, even if like one of us went by ourselves or whatever, and we freeze them all and make them into jerky at the end of the year.
Okay,
But I wanted to take some home, and so I just brought them home and then looked up again on YouTube how to cook a duck
yeah,
and just cooked it up on the pan. And it wasn't bad. It was definitely a little gamey. I'm pretty sure I cooked up a spoonie.
nice.
So that was not the right thing to do.
Those are for bever sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and you know that's funny you said that because I think one of the first ducks I cooked was canvasback, and which are actually known to be some of the better eaten, depend on what like region or zone they're in and what they're eating. Obviously,
yeah.
if you shoot them out in the bay, that might be a different story.
Oh
But
yeah.
like back in the day, I've talked to some guys that in the upper Midwest that they would be feeding on like these celery farms. Actually, that's what they would be eating and
Oh
feeding
wow.
in. And I guess they say they're pretty much the most amazing, one of the most amazing game birds that you can eat.
Yeah, I
But
believe it.
I did mine in a crock pot, which is really not how you do duck. I mean, you can, and if you do, you know what you're doing. But also, I
Oh yeah.
didn't,
We've
and I
done
just
goose. Yeah,
overcooked
we've
the.
done honker in crock pot, and it
Yeah,
was delicious. Like
yeah,
pulled pork honker. It was so good.
yeah. And another way you could do it if you haven't tried this yet, especially for a honker, like I would say more than anything, maybe a spec too, because spec obviously is way, in my opinion, better than honker.
Oh
But
yeah, way better.
do Matt from High Prairie Sportsman did it. He has the recipe on his channel. Is if anybody out there is listening, check it out. But man, because I already know how they can be gamey, but it's all in prep, right?
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
Matt, when we were all doing the Flyways Collective like collab, he
Yeah.
cooked two honker breast, which you know how big they are,
Yeah,
and
they're
he
huge.
did prime, like he did it prime rib style. So basically,
Okay.
meat like medium rare,
Like in the oven type
and on the Traeger actually.
on the trigger. Okay.
Oh, dude, I'm like trying to taste game. I'm trying to
Really?
taste where you can like, you're trying to find it and you're like, I can't taste game,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you would think that cooking it less would make that more of that game taste with the blood or
More
whatever.
game.
It's not. So,
Really? So
yeah.
it was super red.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Very, very
Yeah,
red.
well that's how I cook it now. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not gonna do jerky, if I just want some duck,
Mm-hmm.
I'll usually just toss them in a Ziploc bag with some water and salt,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll let them brine in there for like a day or two or whatever, and then I'll just throw them on the pan, super hot, crisp up the fat.
Yep.
Usually, if I'm cooking, it's like a mallard or a pintail though.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I feel like the most consistent, best eating bird I mean, I always want to say wood duck, but I don't shoot those a ton. Pintail
Yeah.
for sure, just the color of their fat and the taste of it, the bird and just in general. But like the best I had was Josh from Outdoor Limits. He cooked it over an open fire, just quick, like quick seared it, and man
Yeah.
alive, it was just so good. And again, like you said, pan searing is kind of one of my favorite ways to do like mallard or pintail.
It's just easy and quick.
It is, and it's just like having a little steak, you know, a quick pan
Yeah,
seared
exactly.
steak. So.
Except it's free, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of not free though.
Yeah, you worked for it and you harvested it, and
Exactly.
you're not out there just shooting it just to shoot birds. You're out there for a purpose and reason. So
Yeah.
it kind of, like you said earlier, it's like justifies what you're doing, and it's a reward.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
So that being said, it's kind of talking, and I guess we'll just go ahead and move on. But talking about pintails, what was your view of seeing? Do you mainly just hunt grasslands, or have you moved out anywhere past that?
Mainly just grasslands. No boat yet.
No,
So.
okay. Well, I mean, too. I don't know if you go to Sac Valley or if you even go south.
Oh yeah, we go to Sac when we get a good draw.
Mm-hmm.
Which we got a good draw this year, but I played basketball too, and it was on a Saturday, and we had a basketball game on a Friday night.
Oh man!
So we were just like, and we had another draw in the grasslands, so it was like, oh, whatever.
Oh, just stay here, yeah. And by that time, I'm sure it was already good here anyway. So
yeah, it was really good here. That was when the water was all
crazy.
All the northern refuges were all flooded.
Oh.
It was for Delavan.
Yeah,
and Delavan was flooded for like 2 weeks, and then a few days before we were supposed to go, they opened up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so,
I remember that.
yeah.
A lot of people were freaking out because they didn't think they were. That actually happened to me and Thomas probably, man, I don't know, probably 4 years ago. Is he had an amazing draw up north, and we actually were really bummed because, or it might have been 5-6 years ago. That last time it flooded, it flooded up the refuge, and it was we were heartbroken, man, because he had like a number 3, and we still to this day have not hunted that refuge. We're like, oh my goodness, man. But yeah, it's a heartbreaker. It is. But I was gonna say, what's your perception of what did you see out there coming from another hunter, not just me on a soapbox on this podcast? What were you seeing for pintail numbers?
Let's just say I probably could have limited on pintail every single time I went, like 7, almost every time.
And it all drakes.
All drakes.
Yeah.
There's almost all drakes. I mean, anytime you see them, there's like 4 or 5 drakes, maybe 1 hen, maybe. But it's pretty much, for the most part, all drakes. And like, it's nice knowing that, because you get to pick out a nice long pin.
Right.
That part's nice. But then it's like, I actually have I can't say that, never mind. But yeah, there was tons of pintail.
Yeah.
Tons of pintail.
Now, see, and I'll go on a little bit of a soapbox here. I'm trying to get this biologist on here. Really, it's hard to get a hold of this guy, but I'm trying to get him on here. I want to talk to him. There's another guy I heard from someone else's podcast. I'm going to get on here. I got some really interesting guests. I think yourself and everyone else would love to hear.
Sure.
I don't know if you follow them on Instagram. It's like Cohen Wild Lab. They put these trackers on the birds. It's a really interesting page. I'm going to try to get them on too. But anyways, they were mainly talking about mallards, but the data, let me tell you just a hair of what he said. He was saying, and I did not know they did this, but in Canada, he said they are releasing up to 500,000, basically, what's the word? There's domestic mallards a year.
Like farm ducks.
Not really. I mean, kind of is, because they are a little bit bigger. What it is, they're still wild and everything, but what it is their tendencies for nesting and all these other things aren't the same as like wild bred ducks. They're not as hardy. There's just a lot of things, but those are birds we're actually shooting. Like they're coming down the flyways, and we don't even know. I mean, I would say majority of the waterfowlers don't even know that. I mean, I didn't until I heard that podcast.
I've never heard of that.
And this was a PhD. I'm going to have that guy on. I really hope he'll come on. It is wild. It'll blow your mind. And I was actually flying when crop dusting when I was listening to that episode, and so it was I'm kind of focusing on what I'm doing a little bit, but I want to re-listen to that again when I'm just driving and like focusing because it's crazy. But
Yeah, that's
anyways,
crazy. I've never heard of that.
yeah, I'm kind of wondering like on the Pintail thing. Anyways, to go back to the Pintails, I want to get some more information and everything. And I'm not trying to be greedy, and I like to hear your thoughts, but I'm not all about like a couple years ago they were saying, "Hey, we're gonna possibly be able to shoot 3 to 4 pintails." Me personally, I'm not really looking for that. I don't
Yeah,
feel like, oh
agreed.
man, I want them to do that. I want the numbers to
Yeah.
stay good. Should it be 2 like it used to be when I was?
I think it should be two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I don't think more. I think more than two is just like it will take the kind of like the mysteriousness out of it.
yeah.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
I I
Like
I,
it.
I think a majority of duck hunters feel that way too. I really do. I really feel
Yeah.
like nobody's wanting it to be 3 or 4. Like
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I don't know if I see a guy with four pintails in his bag, that's just
you
like,
almost kind of
you know
just
what I mean?
kind of
Like
like
cringe.
yes, like
Yeah.
is that really? Is
Yeah.
that really
Exactly.
necessary? I don't know. But you know how it is though, man. When there's limits set, that's what we do, right? And
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't I don't ever foresee that happening. I mean, again, that's coming from a biologist locally in California that said that, but I'm just like, I just don't see that's necessary. We're not wanting that. We're not trying to get that. We
Yeah.
just we just want to be at least 2 cuz I mean, it's crazy how many you'll see. It's just like, well,
Yeah.
you
It
can
is. It is
walk out there
crazy.
and be picky.
Yeah. I mean, I am picky every time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Every time I'm picky. But I think it also should be two because of like what if you scotch double,
Yep.
like something like that.
Mhm. Yep.
Then you're not freaking out. You just killed two pintail.
Yeah, then what do you do? And
Yeah.
that's I'm trying to think of what bird. I don't know why off the top of my head it's not coming to like what bird is only one. Um, because scop are 2,
Chops, I think two. Yeah.
but they're later in the season for California here.
Yeah.
Cans are 2. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
Two.
there's really. My
I
mind's
don't think
going
there's
blank right
more.
now, but maybe if you were talking about different states, or whatever. But anyways, yeah, I agree. Just for that purpose alone, we can make our shots and make the selection better if we need to make sure we
Yeah.
don't do that. Obviously, that's what we all do, but just,
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
backup. Because it's happening. Guys that aren't as experienced,
Yeah. For sure.
you
Or
know.
even just like a windy day. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Hopefully we can, I know this last time now it was all the bird count, where we can't do it because we didn't get to do the bird count, this and that. It's like, oh my goodness. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, man, I wish we'd get this resolved, but hopefully we can get that going here pretty soon. So, Tony, what's some of your like, when you're going to duck hunt and you're going to hunt in the grasslands, what's some of your strategies like decoy placement, mojos, pulsator, like anything? What do you like to do in your setup when you go big spread, small spread,
Yeah. For
open
sure.
water, tight water?
So pretty much ever since this past year, I had been hunting with Jacob and his dad every time I went, or like a big group. We'd been hunting 6 people, 5, 6 people, and so we're always just running big spreads in the grasslands, just big spreads, not huge spreads, but not small spreads. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
And this year, they got into a club for early season, and so they I didn't have anyone to go with
Hmm.
because they were always at the club, and so I find myself going a lot by myself
Hmm.
or just with my little brother.
Yeah.
And I wasn't actually able to take my little brother until I turned 18, which was in January. So I was pretty much by myself
Mm.
for the whole season, basically. Or I would just see if one of my buddies would go or whatever. But I think hunting by yourself, you can figure it out a lot easier
Hmm.
because I felt like I never actually figured stuff out when I was hunting with a big group
Hmm.
because everything was done for me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I never had to do anything. I never had to change anything. And I think this year that really changed a lot because I went out there early season, there's not that many ducks, but there was there was ducks to shoot for sure. And I went out big spread because that's the only thing I knew. And it worked, but then it didn't work because there was no wind. We didn't have weather. And so I started just taking less and less. And then we all started hunting together again. And we tried the one decoy, and that worked well. I mean, that worked well for all types of ducks, not just mallards, because there was no wind, there was no weather or anything. So I think if you put less decoys out, it looks less like they're decoys. You know what I mean?
Well, especially on a no wind situation.
Yeah, for sure. And those no wind days, I was out there with only my motion ducks. Sometimes I would put 2 ducks on it. Sometimes I would put 4. And I was just ripping that thing, and I had like a pulsator next to it just for motion. You know what I mean? And I think that the motion is key for sure.
Yeah.
Because if you have motion, well, it depends where you're hunting, obviously. If you're going up to Washington and shooting mallards that haven't necessarily been shot at a ton, like the ones you're shooting at down here, then obviously you can have like a big spread or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different. I've never done any of that, but that's just what I see from watching videos and listening to people on podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, down here, I think definitely sometimes I don't even run a mojo. Most of the time I don't run a mojo. I think the mojo flares them at the grasslands, to be honest, which is probably going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but oh well.
I don't know. I've been standing on here for a long time, and on my videos and here, it's just I've only seen a couple times where I really felt like it sucked birds over, and it was always teal, which is fine because I know like
teal,
when the teal are heavy in the grasslands, I'm like, okay. A lot of times, what I'll do if the tulies are tall is I got the really long extension mojo, and it will get way up above the tulies, and they'll see it from a lot farther, and they'll suck in really good. And that's really the only times, excuse me, that I've seen that vantage really good. Where you, if you want to get the mallards and other big birds in, it's movement, and it's not. It doesn't have to be a massive spread, Now, when it's windy. When it's windy, by all means, stick 6 dozen decoys out, because I mean, you need to pull those birds over. When you get this massive looking spread, they're going to pull over, and you got all that movement. So,
if it's windy, we throw out a big spread like that. Like that day, me and Jacob went out and shot all spoonies and 2 pintail. That was a really fun one. We took all the decoys we had, which I think was like 5 dozen, and we were in a pit, and we just made just a big old raft of decoys right out around us, and it seemed to work pretty well. But it was blowing like 15 to 20, so they weren't just sitting ducks. You know what I mean? They were moving.
Yeah, that's key. That's I think if people take heed to that stuff, that is such big, because people always want to know how to do the decoys, how to do this. Well, it's not necessarily the placement always. There's some other tips I could give for that, but it's about wind or no wind, and then big and small groups, and that's
exactly.
If you just have that right there, you can go a long ways. And going back to you saying, I want to dig a little more into hunting solo. I always hunted with Travis for years and years. Never went out by myself. Well, I finally was like, there's days that I was off that he couldn't go, and I finally was like, man, I'm gonna go out there by myself. And like you said, I learned more in those moments than I ever did. Not that he didn't teach me a ton. There's just things you won't learn when you're with somebody else experience that you will when you're out by yourself.
Exactly. And there's no better feeling than being successful on your own. It is like the greatest. Especially you kill a pile of ducks and you get to send it to your friends, and you're like, oh dude, look what I did. I made it.
Yeah, it's so rewarding. And
it is.
You're a lot more it's kind of like bass fishing by yourself. I feel like I'd rather fish with people, and I'd rather hunt with people.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
But on the flip side, it doesn't scare me to go out by myself. And like bass fishing is a totally different ball game when you're out there by yourself. It's quiet, got time to think,
Well, I mean, I'd say it's pretty similar to duck hunting. Duck hunting can be pretty quiet, and you can have a lot of time to think to yourself without shooting ducks, especially early season. I mean, I was out there almost every weekend, just finding new spots. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to shoot a single duck sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking for spots, whatever, trying to figure out the refuge for myself,
Yep.
new places to go and stuff like that.
That's the biggest tip I would give anybody is stop. If you have buddies that you can ask questions they want to help you out with and they trust you, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you really want to be successful, put your boots on and get to walking.
Oh yeah.
Well,
even
pick a refuge and walk, or if a bike's allowed, do that too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's how you can figure out decoy spreads too. You can ride your bike around. You can look at the ducks in the water. You can see how they're situated or whatever, how many are in a group, and you can put your decoys just like that. And that's the best you're going to get. You know what I mean?
Yep. Can't beat that. Yeah. When I practice blowing a duck call, I don't really try to copy someone that blows a duck call. I try to copy the ducks,
Copy the ducks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when I do a mount, like if I have a mount in my duck mount in my office, I don't send Travis a picture of usually, unless there's something specific of a mount someone else has done. I send him a picture of a real bird, So
yeah, exactly, for sure.
That's what you want to imitate the original, not the copy of the original.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, that was actually good information. I'm sure that would help a lot of people. So, what do you think? So I didn't get to really watch any of the Masters. Well, let's dig in. Let's dig in. I want to know what your handicap is.
Oh, my handicap? I'm about like an 11. 12.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I got down to 15, and then I couldn't go for a while, and then so that's the best I've got down to.
Dude, that's good though. 15's really good.
I was starting to enjoy golf.
Yeah.
You get to that point, you're like, this ain't that half bad when you're not
you don't lose
doing a snowman
balls around.
Oh, dude. I'm like, I use the same ball for the whole round.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's a victory.
That is totally.
I remember the first time I used the one ball for one round, and it was like the greatest thing ever.
Oh man. So how long you been playing?
I've only been playing since last summer. So,
oh, really? Wow.
But less than a year, yeah. But like I said, when I do something, I don't,
Yeah, you go all in.
I just go all in, yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. What are you kind of averaging on drives?
I don't use my driver a ton.
Really?
To be honest, I use it a few times, but I would say 270, 290-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big guy, so I don't have to hit it hard. You know what I mean?
I know, dude. What are you? You look like you're about 6'2" or something.
I'm 6'3", 6'4". Yeah.
Oh, are you really? Sheesh, man, you're big. Tom's like that too. Like Jake's son, Morgan. I don't know what he is. He's got to be 6'1" or 6'2". And man, he's young, so he's super limber, and he just whips the ball. I'm like, my goodness, I wish I'm so stiff when I swing a club.
Dude, it doesn't even matter how far you hit it, though, to be honest.
No, it don't.
You just got to keep that thing straight and get it in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
That's why I'll jump down. Like when I don't play it, when I haven't been playing a bunch, I'll just jump down to my 5-wood because I can usually hit that pretty straight. But
exactly, yeah. You got it. That's exactly what I do. I just pretty much use my 3-wood on the whole course. And especially for our tournaments, we play from like the white tees, so it's a lot shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Like barely 6,000 yards usually at most courses. Mm-hmm. So I can pretty much get around the whole place with my 3-wood.
Okay, and that's what you usually do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what is more satisfying to you, puring iron or puring your driver?
I'd say iron for sure.
I agree. I'm with you on that one. I was just curious what your thoughts were on that.
Definitely iron, because I'm a baseball guy, so I could always swing a driver.
Yeah.
Like I played baseball my whole life, and I just stopped playing this year just to play golf because I just wasn't having fun with it anymore. Just got kind of burnt out of it. Yeah. So
what about it were you burning out with?
Well, I mean, I just like the seriousness of the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was always hurt too. I just get hurt super easy in baseball for some reason. But like I played, that's the one sport I played my whole life. And like I was like full go in it. I was on varsity as a freshman in high school, so I was just like pretty much
pitching?
super. Yeah, I pitched a little bit, but I mostly played outfield. Okay.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because even in softball, me and my brother talking, we're one of those jack of all trades, master of none. You know, football, softball,
That's the way
volleyball,
to do it.
just everything, right? Like I love sports, whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I feel obviously I'm getting older too, but I feel like I get more injuries in softball than I did in any other sport. It's so weird. I don't know what the
Yeah,
deal is with that.
I don't get hurt in basketball, but I played football also, and I stopped last year to play football, or I didn't play this year because I got hurt too. I jacked up my neck pretty bad,
Mm.
and which was just terrible. So I just was like, I'm not gonna risk it.
Golf, you can sit there and play till you're 100. That's
Oh,
the cool
golf is
thing.
great. Golf is great. I
Yeah.
love golf.
So, what do you? What's one of your favorite courses around? Within 2 hours of here. I mean, I don't know how far you've traveled to play yet, but
Yeah, I mean, I've been to the Monterey courses and stuff like that, but I would say Oakdale Country Club for sure.
dude, I played there. My
You
friend's a
have?
member there, yeah, and
Oh,
he's
bro,
taken me twice. I'm like, man, I love this. This is a nice
dude,
course.
it's it's so nice, and the views are just
Yeah.
great. You see the mountains and stuff. But I mean, I've only played it in tournaments, and we have to walk,
hmm
and so that was like just that killed me.
Yeah.
All the walking just is just, dude, it's brutal.
Yeah. That is, I feel like I play better when I walk, but like on that course because there's a lot of up and down and hills.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
exactly.
definitely could see that kind of wearing you out. Have you played anywhere like up in Mariposa or anything like that? Like or like a Wani? They have a course that's way up that's past Mariposa.
Never heard of that one. I played Talili in like more Sonora area,
Oh,
and I
okay.
played all the courses up there, like Copper Valley and Greenhorn Creek. But I haven't really gone down towards you guys yet.
How's your guys' team doing?
Not great. Actually, not bad. We're second in our league, but the team that's first in our league, they got a kid that's going to Mississippi State.
Is that the Turlock team?
No, it's Ripon.
Ripon. I've heard about
Yeah.
that kid. Is he a senior?
Yeah, he's a senior, I believe. But there's a
Okay.
kid from Turlock that's who you're thinking of, probably Clark. He's super good.
Wait, Clark. Is that his first name?
Yeah, Clark Van Galen.
Van Galen. Okay, that might be the other guy.
He's going to Oklahoma.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's probably the best around here for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard. There's another kid. He's a lefty. He's really good too, but he might still be kind of young, and I can't remember I don't know what school he plays for. But
Yeah, I'm not sure about any lefties.
yeah, I'll text my friend and see what his name is, see if have heard of him or know him. But I don't know how he's playing right now, but I know he's a lefty and he's pretty good. But
Dude, those guys are just on a different level. I mean, like every shot is just perfect.
yeah, that's
Every
crazy.
shot. Yeah, it's you'd only dream. You know what I mean?
I know, and you know what though? If you came down that far, you'd probably be surprised how quick you could be a scratch golfer. I met a guy. I played with him, actually super nice. That's what's funny is sometimes the really good golfers are actually easier to play with than people that are
Yeah.
closer to you. But he's like, hey man, you care if I jump in with you? I was going solo one day walking, and I'm like, yeah, for sure. I didn't know how, you don't know how anybody plays. No one's gonna say, hey, I'm a scratch golfer.
Yeah,
Well, he hit his first shot. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And I was actually playing okay at the time anyways. Well, we got first one. We both parred. Well, then after that, he started getting birdies. And I'm like, and then he'd par, birdie, we'll par. And I was like, what's your handicap? He's like, sometimes if I'm on a good day, I scratch. I'm thinking, by the time we played 16 holes, I was like, oh, this guy's being nice.
Today's a good day.
Yeah, but I go, okay, let me ask you something. How fun is golf to you now compared to because he said he had been playing for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I said, how fun is golf to you now? He goes, it's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I said, did you feel that way when your first and second year? He's like, absolutely not. So it just proves, like, if you stick with it and you get down, it just shows you, instead of getting snowmans putting them on your card, and you're getting pars. I mean, like, it is one of truly the most satisfying, fun of sports, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when you do get that birdie, that's what makes you come back. You know what I mean? Yep. And like all the kids that I know that are really good at golf, that are like scratch, they've all been doing it since they were born. And they all live on a country club or on a golf course, and they're out there every single day working hard. You know what I mean? Same as any other sport. You work hard enough, you could be great at it.
Well, that's the thing is, I've been playing golf on and off for years just because it's, like I said, you do everything. Whatever's in season, you're like, oh, I'm going to play golf now. I'm going to play basketball, whatever. But not last year. Was it last year or the year before? No, 2 years ago. I decided I'm committing myself to 4 or 5 days a week, and I got a membership here locally. And
There
I
you
was
go.
chipping and putting, play around, chip and putt, get a couple lessons,
Yeah.
and that is when my score goes down. But if I play once every couple of weeks or twice a month, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Golf is like takes so much commitment to be
Yeah. You got to
just
be
being,
out there every day.
yeah.
And even then, that's not even enough. Like, honestly, you got to get lessons
Mm-hmm.
and like just watch. I watch a lot of YouTube. If
Mm-hmm.
I need to know something, I look it up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And usually it's right there.
Yeah. Now, did you get to watch much of the Masters?
Yeah. Yeah. I watched a little bit every day,
Mm-hmm.
I think, but I didn't get to watch Sunday, obviously, because I had Easter with my family. But
Yeah. What about
I
Kepka,
watched a
man?
little
Can you believe
bit.
that? How far ahead he was?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Which I
He,
honestly, I'm not surprised with him, to be honest with you, because
are you
I've
talking
seen,
about Brooks or
yeah,
Rom?
yeah, Brooks.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because
Well, he's healthy now. So
what's that?
he's healthy now. He's been injured
Yeah, I know. It's just
for a
I've
while.
seen him do that in the past where he gets up like that, and it's just a mental thing.
Yeah.
They had a little
Just check.
documentary thing on him, and I was like, man, he's definitely. I mean, I'm the same way, right? Like, I'm super. Oh, I think I overthink a lot of things because he was
Yeah.
he was
Sure.
13 under on Saturday, I believe,
Yeah. He was. He came in Sunday 13 under and finished, I believe, 8 under, maybe 7 under.
which is still good at the Masters. I mean,
Well, I mean, he shot 75 at Augusta National.
right,
I would be ecstatic to shoot 75 there.
right.
He's mad about it, you know what I mean? Which he should be, but yeah. Are you talking about that Full Swing on Netflix?
Yeah,
Dude, that was a good show.
yeah, really good.
I love that show.
Yeah, and it actually changed my opinion of some of those guys.
Oh, for sure.
Because some of them you're like, oh, I don't really like that guy. Then you hear their backstory and you're like, oh shoot, man, they really paid a
Yeah,
price.
especially Brooks too.
Yeah.
After watching that show, he's kind of a D-bag, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like, just seems like he just doesn't care. Like he's just too good.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
But then like Joel Damon, that dude's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know about that guy before.
I didn't
you know
even
what I
know.
mean?
I heard a lot of people didn't. Now, like, everybody loves that guy now, dude.
Yeah, everyone loves him because he's great.
Yeah.
He's
Good
just-
attitude,
he's-
funny.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. How can you not?
I mean, I
not
think
like
he beats himself up too much, is like negative to himself, which
Yeah.
I know he said, like, no, that doesn't help me. But,
Yeah.
that's me. And him and his caddy are hilarious, man.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that bald dude.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Me and Jake's that's me and you, dude. We're always just talking trash to each other. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
those clips were funny when they're like on the course and he's like, "Hey, why don't we just go home?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are hilarious.
Yeah. And that's not just for the show. That's how he really talks.
For
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, I'm the same exact way. If I was a pro out there, I would almost need that kind of like just messing around with each other just to lighten things up. Because you got to think sometimes it just gets too like serious.
Yeah.
Which they have to be serious. Obviously, it's their job, but like you got to just remember what you're doing and where you're at.
Yeah. And what it took to get there,
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a good lesson in life for us all, because it's like, duck hunting too. I get like this. I get super business. It depends. Like, if I'm going for mallards or something, or I'm traveling out of state for mallards, or I'm here for mallards, whatever, I do get super business,
Which
and I don't get mad at him, but it's not like that. It's just, hey, let's be quiet. Let's hide good. Let's focus on this. I really don't, honestly, if I'm like wanting to shoot a limit of mallards, I really don't go out there with that guy that has to snack 10 minutes into the. And Thomas teases me because he's a snacker, and he's hardcore too. But he's like, "Oh, you're not allowed to eat when you go Titus or whatever." It's like I could care less, but I mean, like 10 minutes in, come on, guys.
10 minutes in, yeah.
Yeah, let's see it. But no, it really doesn't even matter.
That's the best time too. 10 minutes in.
I know it doesn't matter, but that's how I can be at times, because I just like, this is what I set out on a mission. But then at other times I look at it, I'm like, man, it's not that big of a deal.
that serious. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it too. Like, you're paying a lot of money in gas and all
Mhm.
that stuff just to go out there for the boat, whatever. You don't want to go out there just messing around.
Yeah. There's days, I think, so this year when me and Thomas, it's weird. You can totally see the vibe in the videos
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. And I was like, man, I wish all my videos were like some of these videos, like the one where the goose hit us this last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. That video is good.
It's just a good vibe, right? Like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
happy, we're having fun, we're laughing. And I'm like, why are you not like that every time? But I guess just every day dictates, kind of how that is. But that was a fun, it really was. It was super loose and
Yeah.
having
That hunt was
fun.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't believe that stupid thing.
Yeah. That was
I'm pretty
hilarious.
sure that goose was sick, to be honest with you. We've seen a ton of
Avian.
we've seen so many dead snows, dude, on that shoreline.
Wow.
Yeah. So you don't
That's
hear a lot about the honkers. That was actually a lesser, but you don't hear about them really getting it, but I know they can.
Yeah.
And just the way he like circled and came back, I'm like, this guy I don't think was filmed too well. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, you
But
got him
anyways,
anyway.
gotta have fun, man. Gotta stay
Yeah, for sure.
enjoying it. And so what's your plans like after school and stuff? You can college wise, work wise, what do you got going on?
That's a good question.
Figuring that out still.
Kind of just figuring it out.
Yeah.
When the time comes, I'll probably end up going to MJC,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's free right now in California, junior college is.
Mm-hmm.
So I might just go there and just kind of figure things out for a little bit. But I'd like to be in some sort of trade. I know for a fact I don't want to go to college
Mm-hmm.
or school. That's like the last thing that I want to do. I've kind of looked into some like being like a refrigerator technician,
Mm-hmm.
like someone who works on like the big warehouses,
Oh yeah.
keeps them cold.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle has a buddy who does that, and so I've been listening to his podcast a lot about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds like a pretty good gig. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling it out.
Yeah. You know what? I've told a lot of people this. It's like, do what's gonna make you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't chase the dollar, because I worked some jobs that were incredible money, but I didn't have no time, and that
Yeah,
I left it. I wasn't happy. It's like money's a part of it, a big part of it, but it's not everything.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely, that's definitely tough finding that balance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where you have time to do your hobbies and spend time with your family, but you also got to put food on the table.
Yep. Well, right on, man. Well, Tony, I appreciate you coming on here, man. This has been enjoyable.
Yeah,
Oh, hey,
sure.
no, let's end. I forgot. I almost left one story. Let's hear the Widgeon story before. Let's wrap it up with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So basically, my buddy Jacob, me and Blaine, I had gone to this exact spot. Well, not this exact refuge, but I had gone to this exact refuge the week before, and I had just absolutely killed it. And that was by myself. And so I was like, hey, I'm trying to get these guys to go, because I haven't really gone with them much this season, because they've been hunting their club or whatever, And I'm like, hey, let's go. So on a Saturday, we just go out there, and we're sitting we're just getting on the list, the sweat line.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like hoping to get into this refuge, and I don't want to give it away. I'm trying to, so we're just waiting to get on the list. And it probably took, man, we were seriously going to get out of there and go to a different refuge. And it was probably like 12 o'clock when they let us in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we said 12:30, we're going to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being 12. A guy came in, and we went right out, drove all the way there. And then we walked out, and we walked the first pond you see. You're like, it's kind of like every time you go, you're like, oh, I'm not going to hunt the closest pond.
Right.
Like everyone hunts that pond, right? You kind of think like, oh, I want to go where nobody goes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been some guys standing on the levee that just got out of that pond with its strap full of ducks. And it was like a Saturday. It was the afternoon. We were like, we're going to shoot whatever. We're not picky, we're not those guys, mallards or die, you know what I mean? which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But down here, you can't get picky like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're hunting the right spots. But yeah, so we ended up just going in there after talking to those guys, and those guys told us that the guys before them had shot a limit, and then the guys before them had talked to the guys before them, and they had shot a limit too. So there had already been probably, there was 2 guys, and it was a 3-man pit, and there had probably been like 6-8 limits out of there.
Holy smokes.
Already. And so we're like, well, we're gonna go in here. And we just threw out a couple decoys, and we ended up just having like a fun, like, gentleman's shoot, you know. It was end of season. I think it was the last weekend, I want to say, maybe the weekend before. And it was just, you know, with my best friends, just shooting ducks. And so we ended up just shooting a lot of spoonies and teal. The big ducks didn't really want to work. And finally, though, we got some widgeon, like a 3-pack of widgeon. We got them to work. They were circling. They weren't close enough. We wanted them like in the decoys.
Yeah.
And we finally just got them in the decoys. And they were still probably like 15 yards because they were landing like outside of our decoys. 15, 20 yards maybe. So I shoot the one on the right, folds right in front of me. And then Blaine was in the middle and Jacob was on the side. And Blaine, I'm not sure if he shot one or not, but the middle one falls right next to mine. And then the far one on the left, Jacob said he shot it, but it sailed and was way out there. It was at the levee probably. And this is probably like a 300-yard walk to the spot. And it had sailed all the way, like, super far. And he's got a great dog, like a little black lab female, but she's not super keyed in on the blind retrieves and stuff like that. So kept trying to send her out, and she wouldn't go that far. She just kept like looking around or coming back. So we were just like finally like, oh, whatever. We needed like 3 more ducks, maybe a few more ducks. So we're like, okay, we know that one's belly up out there. We'll just wait, and we'll go get it at the end when we walk out. And so we ended up finishing, and we picked up all the decoys, had a fat pile of ducks. And then I'm like counting them. I'm like, hey guys, we're 1 short. And then Jacob's like, oh dude, the widgeon, let me go get it with June. That's the dog's name. And he goes out there and like kind of goes with her, you know, and then sends her, and she gets it, brings it. He's just walking all the way back because she's kind of walking too. And he gets to us and he goes, watch, this one's going to be banded. And I didn't even answer him back. You know, I was trying to get a cool picture of the ducks. And he goes, no way, right when he gets it from her. And I just turned around so fast. And he's like, dude, it's banded. And I think it was a 4-year-old widgeon banded in Klamath, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Or somewhere up there.
That's
but
awesome.
Dude, it was so sweet. And then we were like freaking out. We're like, well, who shot it? And that was my first band and Blaine's first band. Actually, no, I don't know if that was Blaine's first band being a part of, but that was my first band that I had ever been a part of or anything. And they hadn't shot a band since, I think it was like 6-7 years. They hadn't shot a band at all. And so it was like crazy. But
wow,
what's funny is in that same exact spot, I was wrong about the story. It wasn't me that hunted it. It was him. They hunted that same exact spot the week before and shot a Gadwall band.
No
also.
way. Wow.
Yeah. So we went back and we ended up shooting a widgeon band, and it was like the last duck. We forgot about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
imagine we would have left that thing out there. We wouldn't have, but it's just crazy. Yeah. So we got the widgeon band in. We called up his dad who was working, and we FaceTime, and he's just freaking out. And, and we were all just like kind of going crazy, calling everyone we knew. Dude,
That's awesome.
we spent like an hour sitting in that spot after we cleaned up, just talking to people and stuff. And then we're like, dude, who shot it? And we just totally everyone just kind of blanked, and we're like, oh, I shot it, you know? Because we truly didn't know. And to this day, I kind of know it was Jacob, but we don't know for sure. And so Jacob's dad, Ben, was on the phone, and he's like, oh, I can do the wheel, because we use the wheel for everything, you know, like you spin the wheel.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'll put your guys' names in, we'll spin the wheel. And he spun the wheel, and we were all just still kind of freaking out. We weren't even really paying attention to him, and he just goes, oh, Blaine won. We're like, what? We weren't even ready, you know, like and then so Blaine ended up getting the band, but he's like, he was, after we all kind of settled down a little bit later that night, he's like, hey, I didn't shoot that band. And so he gave it to Jacob, because it was on Jacob's side.
Yeah.
And we kind of just all agreed, like, yeah, Jacob shot it. So, and he shot the Gadwall band the week before, so he got 2 bands in 2 weeks out of the same spot.
That's crazy, dude. That's a cool story, man.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's so cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with me, man. I was kind of curious what the backstory was with that Widgeon band.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, man. Well, I know both of us got to hit the road here in a minute, but I appreciate you coming on, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
we'll love to do it again.
Yeah, we will. We'll stay in touch. We'll do another episode, and great to hear from you and all those conversations. I'm sure it will help somebody out there too, especially new guys. So, all right. Thanks everybody for listening in, and we'll see you on the next one.